Hey guys, how you doing? Ron's a Nut here. Well, today I have a new video review for you. This is of the CRYORIG fans. Now, they're relatively new fans that have come to market, and our friends over at Performance PCs sent me over a couple so that we could take a look at them and check them out for you. Now, these are the QF120 Performance and QF120 Balance fans. They have a range of RPM speeds, and they are PWM fans. So depending on your system cooling needs, CRYORIG believes that they have something that'll suit your requirements. So what we're going to do is we'll take a closer look at them, and then we're going to listen to them, and then we'll put them under load with a radiator and do some testing. So let's go ahead and have that closer look. And here we have a quick look at the packaging. Basically, it's exactly the same packaging for each of the fans. The only difference, as you can see, is the title and the RPMs and the logo block, which shows QF120 Performance versus the QF120 Balance, and the max RPMs of these fans are listed there. Take a quick look at the back. And here we have a listing of the specs for each of the fans, and also the contents of the packaging, which I'm going to go ahead and show you now. With each fan, you get the fan along with the Molex to 4-pin power adapter, 4 anti-vibration screws or mounts, and also this fancy product registration packet. Now, this is like an aluminum type packet, and when you tear it open, you'll receive one of these. This is a product registration card. It's basically like a credit card, and with it, if you need to register the serial code of your fan, and you become a CRYORIG VIP member. And there are a number of member services that you get by registering. So that's something unique and different that they've done with the fans to, I guess, to get your information, find out who you are, and probably have better to serve you and make products for you. So anyway, that's unique. You don't see that often. Usually it's paper add-ins that I usually just throw away. So and then also you get mounting screws. So we have some 4 mounting screws for your fan as well. Now let's have a little bit closer look at the fan. And the fans, basically the exact same construction amongst the both the Performance and the Balance fans. There are 11 blades. It's all one solid body construction. As an indicator, it shows the airflow on the sides of the fans, and pretty solid construction. The cable is 12 inches long. It is a 4-pin PWM connection, and the sleeving's not bad. You can see through it, and you can see some of the colors of the wires inside, but not bad, and shrink wrapped okay. On the back, you would have basically the CRYORIG logo, and above it on the motor you have the speed of the fan, and this one here is the Performance one at 2200 RPM. Now the specs of this fan I'll put up on the screen there so you can see. This is it's a 120 by 120 by 25 millimeter fan. The weight's 134 grams. The speed of this fan, the Performance fan, is 600 to 2200 RPM. The noise level listed is 13 to 37 decibels, and the airflow is 83 CFM. And again, we went through the pieces that came with it. So that's a close-up look at the fan, and hopefully you had enough time to look at the specs as I read them out. And here we have the 1600 RPM version. Now this goes from 330 RPM up to 1600. This is the Balance, QF120 Balance. Another part of the construction that CRYORIG did with these fans, again both with the Performance and the Balance, is at the corners. This is a neoprene triangle right here at this corner, and it protrudes out from the edge of the fan. You can see that it's raised out a little bit, so when it touches against your radiator or your case, you have some more anti-vibration properties. So even if you don't use the anti-vibration mounts or those rubber screws, using regular screws mount to your case, this will provide good insulation as well. So nice little feature that they offer with the CRYORIG fans. So right now on the test bed here we have 3 of the CRYORIG QF120 performance fans, and they're currently, these are the ones that run between 600 RPM to 2200, and they're currently running at full speed, 2200. So we're going to go ahead and put a mic on them and have a listen to them, see how loud they are. Okay, so just a quick description of the test bench here. It's my standard test bench for testing fans and radiators. The motherboard is an EVGA dark motherboard with an i7-3930K processor on there. There is 32 gig of Kingston Hyper-V RAM. The graphics card is an Asus Platinum Matrix card with an EVGA block on there, and that is all piped to the Black Ice SR1 360 radiator. That's what the 3 QF120 performance fans currently are running on. And then the pump and reservoir is a single bay alpha cool reservoir with a DDC pump on there. And then the fan controller is a Bitphoenix Recon. And I have a 180 gigabyte Intel SSD and I think it's a 600 gigabyte data drive for collecting some test data. So that is basically the test bench setup. The testing will be performed using the software you see in the background there. That's OCCT version 4.4.1. What I'll do is I'll run the 2 overclocks. So I'll test the fans on the system here with a 4.0 overclock at 1.2 volts through the BIOS. And I'll run that for 30 minutes, and I will do that 3 times with about a 15-20 minute cool down in between. And we'll take the average of the min idle temps and then also the max temps, so that we can get an idea of the temperature that was running on these guys through three different passes. And then what I'll do is run it again at 4.5 overclock at 1.35 volts and to do the same thing. So it'd give you kind of a mild overclock and a heavy overclock and see how well these fans perform. And then what I'm going to do is the same thing with the Q120 balance fans, do the exact same testing, and I'll have some tables to show you the results. And also they'll be compared against some other fans that I've run on this exact same test bench here as well. So you can get an idea of how well these fans perform, not only against each other, but also to other fans that are commonly used as well. Okay, so after this, we'll be setting up the QF120 balances, run those, and then what you're going to see next really is some graphs and me going over the results and then the conclusion. So here we have the results of the testing of the CRYORIG Performance 2200 RPM fan and the CRYORIG QF120 Balance 1600 RPM fan, as compared to a bunch of other fans that I have tested recently in the exact same setup on the test bench. So the only differences here are the fans. So you can see here that the 1600 RPM fan came in at 6.7 under idle and 23.7 delta T underneath load. This is again with the 4.0 overclock at 1.2 volts. And then the 2200 RPM CRYORIG Performance fan came in at 4.2 under idle and 22.8 degrees under load. So that's about a degree difference between those two fans. And then pretty much significantly difference against all the others, at least a full 2 degrees or more. But again, remember, these fans are the fastest and they have the highest RPM. So you got to keep that in mind when you're comparing these. And then the other thing you need to take in consideration certainly is the noise level of the fan. So you need to again take that in consideration when you're
your full assessment as well. So next up is the Delta T with the 4.5 overclock at 1.35 volts. So again, here we have the Delta T results at the 4.5 overclock with 1.35 volts. Just looking at the graph, you can see under load, the performance of the 2200 RPM CRYORIG performance fan comes out on top at 29.2, but it's not far behind the 1600 RPM CRYORIG balance fan. So that fan is, just less than a degree different. So at least on the Hardware Labs Black Ice SR1, that is the result over the average of the runs that I did. But again, they do perform significantly better by a few degrees than all the other fans. But again, as I said, remember that they are a higher RPM fan. And then the other thing you got to take in consideration also, depending on your setup, is the noise that these fans put out. Again, they're not terrible, but they are probably a little bit louder or average for most of the fans if you were to listen to the other ones. All right, so that's the results of the comparison testing of these fans against each other and other fans that are out there in use and have been around for a while. So now next up is the conclusion.
So there you have it, guys. That's the results of the CRYORIG QF120-B, or the balance fans running at 1600 RPM, and the QF120Ps, or performance fans, running at 2200 RPM. Now, again, remember to you have to consider the RPMs of these fans are, the 1600 is faster than most of the other fans in the comparison, and of course the 2200 RPM fan is significantly faster than the other fans in the comparison. And I use those because I was able to test those in the exact same configuration and setup as I have here for the CRYORIG fans. So I'll give you a fair comparison of how well they all perform. So I thought that would be of value to you. Plus, most people have most of those fans out there in their rigs, and they're common fans as well. So it'll give you a good idea for a benchmark. Now, from a construction and look standpoint, the fans look very good. I like the black and the white. They're a nice design style. The padding in the corners to give you some anti-vibration properties for when mounting against your case. And they also give you those 4 rubber screws, if you will, the anti-vibration screws, to also provide additional dampening for the fans on your case. So, construction-wise, they also have these 4 specially vented sections on the fan, which actually are to provide additional greater airflow for these fans. So, I think they're built fairly well, and they had no problem mounting them on the test rig at all whatsoever. The length of the power sleeve coming off of there is 12 inches. That's about what everybody else has, and the sleeving job was okay, along with the heat shrink applied. So really no issues there at all. From a performance standpoint, well, you saw that the balance fan actually did pretty well compared to the other ones. That is the 1600 RPM coming in under load at the 1.2 volts 4.0 overclock at 23.7 a Delta T, and the 2200 RPM 120 performance fan, that came in at 22.8, so about 1 degree difference in performance. Now, again, they did better than all the rest, but again, also remember they do have a little bit higher RPM. At least the 1600 is a little bit faster than most of the other fans, except for the Gentle Typhoon, but it did perform very well. And on the 1.35 volt 4.5 overclock, again, they pretty much stayed about the same. There was just there was a little less than a degree difference between the 2200 RPM 120 performance fan versus the 1600. That was at 29.8. So, but again, they stayed fairly well ahead of the rest of the pack in performance. So based on my results here in this testing, they did very well. Now, one of the things, like I said, because of the RPMs, you also, when you, if you listened, they are a little bit louder, I think, than most of the other fans. They're probably right in the middle. They're not the loudest, although the 2200 RPM, as you would expect, pushing quite a bit of air, is probably the loudest of the bunch. But it also performed the best as well. So you've got a higher static pressure going through, and you're getting some good cooling. But there is a price for that. Now, that is totally a personal preference, and some of the cases that we all use will definitely dampen and keep that that noise quiet. But overall, again, from a noise perspective, they were about average, and except for the 2200, which was a little bit louder than the rest. So anyway, that is it for construction and looks and performance. Now, value, these fans come in at $12.99. So I got to say, that's a hell of a value for the performance that you get out of these fans. So I really appreciate that, and both the fans are the exact same price. There are a couple of other CRYORIG fans that are the same price, and one or two others I think in the 140 range that are a little more expensive. But what we're talking about here are the QF120B and Ps at $12.99, and the performance you get out of them compared to a lot of these other fans that you saw in my comparison charts are much more expensive. So I think this is a very good value for the money. So given all that, I would have to give these a good solid 4 nut rating. I think they're good fans, good value, good construction. Noise, again, that is personal preference. They might be a little bit noisier for me, but depending on the case I would be using them in, I would certainly consider them for builds, especially in RADs in systems. And also they're good case fans as well too. Probably the balance would be a good one for that, or a heatsink fan on your CPU cooler. So very pleased. I want to thank Performance PCs for providing these so that I can bring these to you. And I hope you liked this video. If you did, please like and favorite. And if you're so inclined, please subscribe. That's it from Ron Zanat. Thanks for watching.